You are listening to the Colts Report with Will and Dave Retherford, and it's only on the Central Indiana Sports Report. This week, we are going to be discussing the preseason game on Saturday a little bit and the latest Colts news. Welcome, Colts fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for this week's Colts Report with Will and Dave Retherford. We are live at the Creekside Chateau, and we hope that the bugs aren't going to be a distraction. Hopefully, our magic audio can take care of that. If not, it'll be worth it. All right. I'm going to talk about a Colts preseason game. Honestly, I don't remember the final score, 25-6 maybe.
34-6.
34-6. Doesn't preseason final scores don't make a bit of difference. Often the preseason games don't make a bit of difference, but I gotta say I didn't like the tone at all of this game. How can guys who are trying to make a 53-man roster not play inspired? And there was no life with that team, including the quarterback that we all want to like. And is it a bad sign, or is it no big deal?
You know, I'm disappointed in the effort like you are. I feel like it's a football game and you go out and you give your best effort regardless. But at the end of the day, 50% of the people that played in that game aren't making the 53-man roster anyway. And of the 50% that are going to be there, they're not going to be high-fly players anyway. So at the end of the day, I don't know that it makes that much difference.
But don't you want your depth performing well? The guys who are going to be, and not very many did, Will.
I mean, I guess you do if you think that you're going to have all of your number two guys in at the same time. I don't need the number two team to be great. I need 3 or 4 guys from the second team to be great. That's it. I mean, and I don't even need to be great. I need.
I mean, the NFL, everybody plays
to an extent, but I mean, you don't. If we have that many of the second team guys playing, we're not going anywhere anyway. So I mean, to me, it's a wash. We didn't see anybody that I think is going to play meaningful snaps outside of maybe Richardson and Riley Leonard, whoever ends up being the quarterback too. Neither one of them played well.
Let's start there because it was absolutely awful, the quarterback play. And man, it's Anthony Richardson's playing for his life, and you got to be better.
I agree. I think there's probably something to be said with being the second guy coming out, not necessarily getting the start. I think there is maybe something there, but at the same time, he's going to be doing that as backup. He's never going to be starting a game as a backup unless Daniel Jones suffers an injury late on a Sunday and isn't available the next week. So you kind of have to be better out of the bullpen would be kind of my analogy for it. I thought he looked uncomfortable. He looked frazzled. He had happy feet like he normally does. He didn't hit any layups. He's only 3 for 9 passing for 24 yards, which is pitiful. I mean, just 3 runs he had were not bad, but he only had 3 runs. So
he improvises well.
Well, I mean, you're going to have to. Your backup quarterback. To me, the biggest issue was the fact that I thought that Riley Leonard looked really bad, and to me, he has left a taste in my mouth that says he cannot be your number 2. Your only option is Anthony Richardson, and Riley Leonard has to be your 3. He's been given 2 opportunities. He was coming in hot following that Week 18 performance at Houston, where I would still like to say that he turned the ball over 3 times. It's not like he played perfect, but he played fine. And he's played 2 preseason games and really looked bad. So there's a lot of questions to be asked, Dad. I'm curious to know kind of what you think regarding the quarterback situation.
And I think you guys said it pretty well. Obviously, if Daniel Jones gets hurt, we are in a world of hurt. Because we don't have a backup quarterback. So as much as we've all been pretty high on Anthony, and continue to want to believe in him, he's not proven that he's capable in this league. And so I still contest that maybe his skill set's going to have to come from someplace else and use him in other ways. But he cannot be the backup quarterback and win meaningful games in this league. I just think that time has come and gone, or maybe never came. I don't know.
Yeah, and it was almost all negatives out of that game. But the vibe with the Colts still seems pretty positive even coming out of that game. They kind of treated it as in, it was a bad performance. Let's move on. I think that's probably the right move in the preseason, although it can be an indicator. They came prepared to play pretty much every game last year, so I'm probably going to forgive it. It's just the tone was so bad. It was hard to watch. That's how bad it was. But there are some positives. And let's start on the offensive end. Let's start with Keenan Allen, which I think is a positive, although toward the end of last year was pretty much invisible. Maybe a Daniel Jones, at least another option. Deion Burks played well in the preseason game. He looks like he's going to be a receiver in this league, and looks like he might be a good 3 or 4 receiver at his top end, and that's a positive sign. And I know you're going to make fun of me, but Coleman Owen is legit, and he's a legit receiver, and he's a legit return guy. Every time he touches the ball, something fun happens. So it looks like the receiver room may be shoring up a little.
My concern with Keenan Allen is the fact that he's played primarily in his career in the slot, and he can't play in the slot with the Colts. So how does he look at his age out wide? I think there is something to be said with that. Also, on the contrary, he's played in Steichen's system previously when Steichen was at the Chargers. He performed really well when Steichen was the coach there. So if there is anything left in that tank of Keenan Allen, I do think Steichen might be the guy to get it out of him. He's going to be able to play week 1 with the entire route tree ready for him.
And it's better than any option they have.
It absolutely is. I think even 80%, 75% of whatever Keenan Allen was in his prime is better than Nick Westbrook-Akine as your number 2. So I like that they made the move. I kind of wish they would also invest in a backup running back. But, I like the Colts 3 and 4. I think Ashton Dullin's a great 4. I think if he's your 4 on a team, he's a player that can give you a spark, a splash play, more of a gadget player than necessarily somebody you're going to line up out wide regularly, barring injury. On top of that, I think I agree with you. Deion Burks does look the part. I think he has the route running ability. I'm curious to see when we get into regular games, how often he sees the field, and 2, how complex his route tree is, because that will give a lean as to where Steichen views him. If he's able to run a complete route tree when he comes into the game, I do think that we're looking at a situation we might have gotten a steal with Deion Burks, and he could develop into, I think at the top end, a wide receiver 2, probably comfortably a wide receiver 3 at the NFL level.
Plus, the good news is we're finally hearing some good news out of Alec Pierce. It looks like he's going to start practicing next week.
Yeah, my biggest concern about the wide receiver room is simply that I don't know that we really still have a number 1. I think we've got some 2s, we've got some 3s. Until Alec Pierce proves that he can be a number 1, I'm always going to be still a little down on the wide receiver room. With that said, I do believe, with the signing of Keenan Allen and just seeing some positive out of that room, I think we're on an uptick here. And if that continues, we could potentially have at least a formidable wide receiver roster for Daniel Jones to throw to.
Plus, the tight end room has looked really good in game.
It has, and honestly, it needed to. This has to be the strength of this pass catching group, because I don't think we have that alpha 1 receiver. And I don't think Michael Pittman was that either, but Alec Pierce definitely isn't.
I thought Pittman was closer.
I think so too. I think he was more comfortably, how do I want to say this? Dependable? I think he fit the role of a wide receiver 1 more. He was dependable. He played through injury. I think that he was very consistent, tough, great run blocker. So if he didn't have to come off the field in running situations. And I think Pierce is at the point where we're going to see probably his peak in a year or two. And we see that this is what he is.
And it might be a really good peak.
I think it's a really good number 2. I think it's a great number 2 in terms of a peak, because he allows you to take the top off the defense in a way that somebody like a Keenan Allen, somebody like Michael Pittman didn't do, because he truly is a 80-20 jump ball guy. You throw it up to him, he can go get it. He's got a lot of speed. He's springy. He's explosive. He's a great athlete on the football field. I just don't know how polished he is in terms of his route running, in terms of that short and intermediate game. And that's where we're going to have to see how he comes out whenever he gets back on the field from this ankle injury. Is he that guy, or did the Colts spend $30 million on, just another Chris Godwin-esque wide receiver that is a great 2, but not
Good
probably
comparison.
who you want a number 1.
Exactly right.
I think that when you look at the tight ends, you look at Jonathan Taylor, like, you maybe can afford to be a little less at the wide receiver position, because we're pretty strong in both of those other skill positions. I think we have every reason to believe that our offensive line really should be pretty good.
We'll talk about that in the second segment.
And Daniel Jones coming back, as long as he stays healthy, really this could be an offense that puts up points, because there are a lot of diverse weapons. So maybe not having the number 1, but having a good, solid set of 2s and 3s will give us more options instead of just going always to our number 1. So, and I think, again, with Taylor and the tight ends, we've got people that can make plays.
Let's talk more about the offensive line here in just a minute, right after we talk about another positive sign in the defensive backfield. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we'll start in the defensive backfield, where it looks like it's starting to become crowded, and maybe a real positive on this team. We saw it from Justin Walley last year. It looks like he's picking up where he left off before he got injured, and we might be 5 guys deep in that defensive backfield and might not miss Kenny Moore at all.
Like I said, I think Kenny Moore is a great player to have on your team for the right price. I don't think having some incredible nickel is ever the answer. I don't think you overpay for a guy like that. And I think Kenny Moore wanted a contract extension and wanted to go play winning football somewhere, which is great. I really do like Justin Walley as a nickel. I think that's what he kind of repped at more in college and looked more the part than he did outside. I like his frame, and I like that he's a thumper. He gets down in the box, he makes plays. He's not a guy
that performs every day in camp.
He does perform every day in camp. I think that he's similar in size and stature to a Kenny Moore. He runs 5'10", 190, stocky. And that's what you need. You need a guy who can come out and just simply be reliable, and he's been that up to this point. It's sad that we didn't get to see him perform last year due to the knee injury in training camp, so we really are going to see his rookie season. But they do have Cam Taylor-Britt, who I can fill in, be serviceable. It's an NFL name that you've heard of before, that you feel comfortable. And, if he has to play the position, doing so, give Walley the runway. There was a lot of games Kenny Moore looked like dog shit. I'm going to be completely honest. When it was bad, it was really bad with Kenny Moore. He's performed better in this Lou Anarumo defense, but who's to say that Justin Walley can't? They clearly drafted him with some level of purpose, because if they felt that comfortable with him being an outside corner, they don't go get Mooney Ward. They don't go get Sauce Gardner. I get they got Mooney Ward before they ever drafted Justin Walley, but if you think that corner is a strength, you're not actively going out and paying $25 million plus for one and $30 million plus for the other one. So they clearly have fit him here for a reason.
And it looks like the green dot might go to Cam Bynum.
I think it's fine. I typically, call me a football purist. I kind of like my linebacker having the green dot. I like the look of it. I think it looks better.
They're not certain who it's going to be.
Well, I think it's difficult to put that on a rookie. I do. I think if CJ Allen's going to be your starter, I think it's...
And if he had taken the job by now, I think he would. But he hasn't even taken the job by now.
Well, I guess you'd ask yourself who... I feel like a second round linebacker. I want to feel convicted that he's going to be. That's a lot of draft capital.
Too many days missed, and right now, if you're gonna guess who's gonna be starting, it would be Betcher, I think.
I mean, he flies around, but he's kind of drafted him to be that will linebacker. They didn't draft him to play in the middle, and I think there's a reason for that. I think Betcher's athleticism and profile is better at a will linebacker because he's a little faster, he's a little smaller, and he's a great athlete.
Pass defense, he's going to be really
good. And he's a great pass coverage guy. And so I'm not saying it's not possible. I don't want the listeners of this show to think that I'm dogging on Bryce Betcher, but we didn't draft him to play the middle. We drafted him.
He's not going to
be, I don't know. I hope it doesn't go that way because we gave up a lot of capital to draft a CJ Allen there in that second round. I kind of want to see that used. I get that he's missed some time in camp, but got to get him up to speed.
He did not look good this week like he did the week before. Betcher didn't look as good either. Actually, no one looked good on the defense, really.
No.
But I hope that both of them are starting just to start the year. But, man, when you start two linebackers, it never goes very well. I asked the Bengals last year how that went. And so we'll see. I think that's still a concern. But if they can get some pressure up front, maybe if they can get some and you got a defensive backfield that's shaping up as one of the best in the league, then maybe it becomes less of a concern. I don't know.
I think it does become less of a concern. I mean, I think we're going to be solid on the ends, the corners, and
I'll tell you what, so we're going to make plays. I'll tell you that.
So we're going to have less need for doubles and those kind of things when you have that kind of strength on your corners. But I definitely I think the linebackers have performed maybe a little better than I thought they would, and we kind of knew this might be a little bit of a weakness of the team. Much like we talked about the wide receivers in that room maybe not being the best that we might have hoped for in the starting of the season, they're shipping up in the right direction. So there's something to be very, optimistic about, especially when you consider that we have a lot of strength in other places.
Well, and Akeem Davis Gaithers played in Anarumo's system. I mean, he got him from Cincinnati. So I would say if there's a guy that you feel comfortable kind of being a stopgap until you get to where you feel confident with CJ Allen out there, like you trust him. He's played in the system. He knows the defense well.
Now, I think that's what would happen.
I do too, and I'm just curious as to why they wouldn't give him the green dot. I don't.
Because they want Allen to become the guy, and Bynum is somebody they trust and is a team captain kind of guy, a leader.
I get it. It's just, I wouldn't say it's super conventional.
And Anarumo's done it before as well.
He has. I shouldn't necessarily question him because he's a genius defensive coordinator. Genius. He's the evil scientist.
Very good.
He's very good. And I'm just sitting here on the porch kind of talking shit on him. So
I have no complaints about the Colts as far as game planning and game prep with the coaching staff. None last year. I thought they were really good. Now, some of the messaging and things like that, I've had some issues with. But as far as game prep, I thought last year they were in the A range with a team that I didn't think was always good enough to compete with the team they were beating early in the year, almost beating in the Rams. All right, and almost beating Seattle without Daniel Jones. It was just a very good job. Let's talk a little bit about the offensive line, and it's expected to be a strength, but there is some question.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Jalen Travis at right tackle is still a question mark. I think the Colts still have question marks on him as well. Other than him, I feel really pretty good about the other four linemen. And I do think, I think we've got a little bit of depth, on the offensive line with Jalen Farmer and Luke Tenuta. Blake Freeland, as much as I'm not high on, I think the Colts
playing a lot. We got problems.
The Colts are still high on him, and so I think there's definitely a strength. And It's just whether or not Travis comes in and really, makes that position his, and they don't have to start looking for other options.
The good news is what we're hearing about Jalen Farmer, who might be a legit NFL guy right away.
Yeah, I think that it's probably questionable to say that they're going to put Farmer out wide. I think he projects more as a tackle. I think Gonzalez, Greg, like you mentioned, he's got the size to play outside. And he's 6'6", 300 plus. That's built for a right tackle.
But he was awfully good at guard.
He was awfully good at guard, and I think it does beg the question, is it worth it in the investment to not have him playing where he's best? But if you think Jalen Farmer's that good, you've got to find a way to make it work. And I do think that Jalen Travis played well enough towards the end of the year last year that they would not have been as comfortable letting Braden Smith walk as a guy who had been here for a while, unless they felt like he was ready to take control of that position. I will say that I think right tackle is the easiest to mask. It's easiest to mask a bad right tackle because you can put a tight end over there to chip and still run a route. You can bring a Mo Alley Cox in to help in run blocking situations, or simply to help in pass pro situations. If you think you can win on the outside with a guy like Keenan Allen, with a guy like Alec Pierce, with Tyler Warren, if you think you can win with three receivers, well, hell, bring in Mo Alley Cox, put him on the right side and help him out, because that's giving Daniel Jones the most security. I know that's not going to happen. People tell that's dumb. It is. You want the most guys out running routes as possible. But if you can really win with three, it does change the calculus a little bit precisely in terms of what he can do to help a Bernhard Raimann or to help a guy like Jalen Travis ease in to the position more than just kind of getting put out to the wolves.
Yeah, it's a good problem to have, and everything we're hearing is Gonzalez has had a great camp. Bortolini's looked really good. I don't think we need to worry much about Raimann or Nelson, although Ryman's not been wasn't quite as good last year as he was the year before. But the issue is it's such an important position that they got to get it right. And if you don't, it'll take down the entire offensive line that should be a strength.
The offensive line was a strength last year. Week 12 or so, they started looking a little shaky. That Kansas City game, especially, is kind of where I said,
against some really good teams.
It was against some good teams, but if you're a great offensive line, you still perform, and they look shaky. I don't think Daniel Jones was awesome in those games either. So it's probably twofold in terms of what the issue really was.
Through the Atlanta game, they looked like the best offensive line in the NFL, or right up there. And after that, wasn't quite as good.
No.
Sometimes wasn't good at all.
I still see the projection of it being a strong offensive line this year. So that's not an area that I really am overly concerned about.
All right, guys, that was great. Let's huddle up and come back out next week and talk more about the Colts. And sorry, it's the preseason. Who do they play this week? Any idea? When? Who?
You
think on the Colts report we would know?
Doesn't matter.
It really does.
They play the Lions.
Well, I should know that. I grew up a Lions fan before the Colts moved to town, and still kind of love the Lions and Jared Goff.
Are we going to see some starters this week?
No,
yeah, a little bit.
Some.
I don't think you'll see. I mean, they've already said Jones isn't going to play it.
Right. Yeah.
So
why do we even do this? Preseason. It's just one game. Let's just do one preseason.
I'm kind of
like high school scrimmage it out.
I think the whole evolution of the joint practices is
it's a money grab, guys.
We're heading in the direction of having, I think, 1 or 2 preseason games, having 2 joint practices that are televised now. We'll probably do it you can buy tickets to go to the joint practice at Lucas Oil Stadium. I think we're trending in that direction and getting an 18th game. That's what I see happening. And that, folks, if that happens, we'll have the Super Bowl on the Sunday prior to President's Day, which would be huge for morale.
So 1 o'clock Saturday, Lions NFL Network. Of course, you can see the replay just about anywhere. I'm sure it'll be also televised locally.
Yeah.
This is 2026. Find it yourself. But we will be here to talk about it next week. And we're also going to talk about the latest Colts news. I think we're going to have 2 podcasts next week. We're going to do our AFC rankings. And I have been studying the AFC like crazy the last couple of weeks. So I am ready to go.
Last year we did the prediction for who we had the playoff teams. I hate to toot my own horn, but I had the Patriots in the playoffs.
Yes.
The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie.